we start with the biggest game of the weekend, one of the biggest games of the entire year. Very rare that you have two playoff teams, in the 4-team playoff era, two playoff teams meeting in the regular season. And yet here we sit with the red hot Texas Longhorns going to the Big House to take on the defending national champion Michigan Wolverines. Now, as we'll talk about, unfortunately, on the field, I don't know that it's quite as exciting as it feels in name and in brand. But there is no denying, Aaron, you cannot get a bigger name-on-name matchup than Texas at Michigan.
And uniform on uniform and helmet on helmet. Like, you're going to turn on the TV for that big noon kickoff on Fox and be like, damn, like it's going to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye to look at Texas versus Michigan in that stadium. And I'll just say this first. I'm happy the game is in Michigan, because if it was in Texas, I think Texas would drag them, and Texas still might drag them, but at least Michigan is going to have 100,000 people going crazy with that defense to see if they can slow down Texas and that offense, because we've talked about, like, they lost a lot from a year ago. And it looks like in certain key positions, they have not been able to fill those needs, at least not yet, not game two. Maybe if this game was later in the season and some of these young guys have had an opportunity to mature, then you'd feel a little bit more comfortable. When you look at Texas, though, you have a third-year starting quarterback. You have a almost senior-led offensive line with all 5 stars returning. You have a bunch of playmakers on the outside that have played a lot of football, whether it's at Texas or like in Alabama or other big-time schools. And I still think you have a pretty good defense at return, where the weakness may be in the secondary. But guess what? You're facing a Michigan team that doesn't throw the football. I mean, I just rewatched the Michigan game from last week about an hour ago. Everything was a dink or dunk. Everything was a flat route, a check down, a drag, all this. And you're protecting your young quarterback, Davis Warren, who won the job. But 4.7 yards per attempt against Fresno does not translate well to playing Texas, who has studs on that side of the football. So I just think this is not a good matchup for Michigan, but they're at home and the crowd's going to be nuts. And I still like Michigan's defense, so maybe they can keep it close.
It's a weird, it makes you, I mean, look, chat's saying it right here, right? Michigan should have, here it is. Michael Sapola, Michigan should have went for a quarterback in the portal. Taylon Green would have looked juicy on that offense. No, it is. I don't know if it's like a Dabo situation, why they didn't want to go quarterback. Maybe they just really believed in Orgy or Warren or everybody they had competing in-house. I mean, I know they had like 4 or 5 guys competing for that job. But it seems kind of like a stunning oversight that they would not have tried to come up with a better answer there, because the offense, like, at least with JJ McCarthy, it was a style of offense, as we kind of had this debate last week, Aaron, about how, like, McCarthy didn't have to be great consistently. Sometimes they didn't ask him to do much at all, but in the biggest moments when you needed it, he was more than capable of consistently stepping up and coming up with the plays. Michigan clearly does not have that now. And so against a lot of their schedule, that will be irrelevant. Warren will be fine. Orgy, whoever plays, will be fine. But against the Texas, this is where you're going to feel that lack of quarterback.
And I don't think Davis Warren is bad by any means. Like, when they're like going back and watching the game, I was like, okay, like, he throws the ball accurately, gets the ball on time. A couple of the balls down the field, I don't know the arm strength about pushing it. A couple of them were underthrown, so you question that. And that's just watching film, not seeing him in person. But, like, I'm not going to sit back here and say, like, he's some god-awful quarterback and, like, they should have hit the portal. Let's not forget, J.J. McCarthy, for his first year, did a lot of this same stuff. It was crossing routes and checkdowns and running the football. And, like, I don't think he was really ever asked to win 2 years ago. They just had an elite defense, an elite offense line, and a great running game. Last year, same thing, at times was asked to be great, but he was another year into the system, not his first game in the system, not his second game in the system against Texas.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you're right. It's very level-headed. We should allow Warren time to improve. Yes. But, like, the offensive line didn't look good.
No, but that goes into what I'm saying. Like, JJ had the ability to mature as a quarterback with all those things being great around him. All of a sudden, Michigan this year does not
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
Joe Moore award-winning type offensive line, at least what we saw in week
And
one. Like
even
they
2
still,
years ago, when they did have that Joe Moore award line,
yep,
they still needed McCarthy to come up with huge
yep,
plays at the end to beat Illinois. I think that one crazy game was against Bielema and company. And then remember when they beat Ohio State 2 years ago, McCarthy actually did throw the ball very
yep,
effectively for these big plays when Ohio State just loaded up.
mm-hmm,
Michigan's offensive line and running game does not seem quality enough after week one
nope,
to force a team to have to try to load the box so hard and overcommit in the same way. And so, yeah, Michigan just comes away feeling very flawed, very strong
mm-hmm,
defensively still.
yep,
Mason Graham, Will Johnson, we know all the All-Americans they got on that side of the ball. But Texas feels very complete. That's why. So my overall take on this game is simply about watching the Michigan defense against the Texas offense.
yep,
Like I don't think that Michigan is going to win this game. I
mm-mm,
don't give them much of a shot. I'm almost more just watching one side of the ball to see how championship, like how can Quinn Ewers in this offense look against what is still a championship caliber defense, because that could give us information about how they'll do down the road in playoffs and maybe conference championship sort of settings.
Well, again, just go back to last year. I think that you don't have to go far. Go back to 2023 on the road, Alabama, first game, second game of the season, same situation, and they put up 34 points against Alabama in a hostile environment. And Quinn Ewers threw for 349 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, like, I this is a veteran football team with a third-year starting quarterback within one of the best offense lines in the country. Like they will not be phased going to Michigan. Maybe the early start's going to be 11 a.m. local kickoff there. I believe in Michigan. Maybe
Yeah.
it's Michigan Eastern or Central. I don't know what. Still early kickoff.
Oh, I get confused about that because I
I
think
think they're
Michigan's
noon.
like,
I think it's Eastern. I think it's Eastern. Regardless,
Eastern. That is Eastern. Yeah, look
they
at
are
that.
Eastern.
Holy
I
shit.
am not worried about them being able to score points. Will they score in the 30s? Maybe not. I really do like this Michigan defense. I think they're good on all three levels. But you look at their offense for Texas. I just named Quinn. I really like the two running backs that played last week for Texas, Gibson and Blue. I thought they looked really good. And then they're deep at receiver. It's not just Isaiah Bond, but Wingo looked good, Cook looked good, Golden looked good. Like they have multiple receivers inside this offense. And just like I talked about, when I watched Cam Ward in the film, and the amount of like wows. So when I watch Texas's offense and the schematics of the offense and what Sark does, and I'm actually going to be, I just watched it again, and I'm going to be putting out a quarterback breakdown video that comes out today or tomorrow, so you can kind of see some of this. What he does with players, basic concepts that he puts a little twist on, is so fascinating to watch. I mean, he's truly a genius when it comes to offensive game plan. And now he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country with a lot of talent and a really good offensive line. So I think they will be just fine handling their own on that side of the football. And I just don't think Michigan has the dudes on their offense to really threaten Texas right now at all. This is a good matchup for the Longhorns.
TriStar $2 super chat. Texas to make the Southwest Conference look good. Demon Deacon with a $5 super chat. Was Michigan holding back the playbook some? I know they aren't as good on this year, but maybe they were purposefully vanilla. I don't think so, because
You got to get ready for Texas.
what appears vanilla to the naked eye is what Michigan's done for the last 2 years. Like it's still Sharon Moore's offense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like there's any hidden wrinkles in there. I think the problem is when they still have Donovan Edwards, they don't the O line, maybe more than anything, has taken a step back, and it's a step back that's maybe just too hard to overcome. I got a couple of super chats to get to, Aaron, but before that, final thoughts on this game. Again, I think Texas goes into Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
They come away with a win. Michigan's defense is good enough to make it frisky early on. I
I
feel a
agree.
lot like Georgia and Clemson here. However, I expect in the end, in the same way that Georgia did, I expect Texas to pull away. The only thing I would say is that maybe Michigan's offense finds a bit more success than Clemson's does. Just to live than Clemson's does. I think it's
Mm,
more than 3. Maybe they scored 10. They find their way to the end zone one time. But in
maybe.
the end, it is that kind of 30 something to 10 score. Like, is that
Yeah.
crazy? I
I
kind of
don't think
think
it's crazy at
Texas ends up
all.
winning this.
I think Texas wins. I mean, I can maybe see like 27-13 type game. I'm interested to see. Obviously, Orgy's not the guy, and for all those who watched the game last week too, saw that the skip pass that he threw on the rollout. But do you put him in the game a little bit more to get some more QB runs? You know, to help out the offensive line, to get Donovan Edwards some more possibilities to hit the edge, and to slow the game down as well. Like we always say, like you don't want to give Texas more possessions. So how can you run the football, eat the clock up, and shorten the game up a little bit as well too? I mean, look at USC LSU over the weekend. Like that game flew by. I mean, there was
Flew
multiple
by,
possessions
dude.
that were like
Flew by.
7, 8 minutes, and almost like that. That is, I mean, that was almost the second quarter before LSU had their second possession.
I know.
So, like, can
I
you
know.
do that to Texas where they lose 2, 3, 4 possessions? Like to me, that's the only way you can keep this thing close. So once again, like, do you put Orgy in there a little bit more in this game and run him? So, like, if you're talking about like holding the playbook back, was that part of the playbook that you are saving for Texas in this game?
New Juice said, I think he stole my take word for word. And then I went back, read it, and he said, Texas, Michigan might play out like Georgia Clemson did. Michigan D puts up a fight in first half and just halftime lead to a blowout. I didn't see that, but hey, great minds, parallel thinking, and all that. All right. So we both think Texas goes into Michigan. Big win. It's crazy how back Texas actually truly is.